Bucknuts, welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, October 20th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. Jay Book, let's start off by talking about Ohio State starters that can and should be playing better. I mean, who are some guys on both sides of the ball you think can and should be playing better for this team?
You know, on offense, those guys, they've been on a hot streak lately, but if I had to point out one guy, I would say Michael Jordan at the left guard position when it comes to his pass protection. I had posted on the front row message board yesterday night how Isaiah Prince is having a much better season. According to College Football Film Room, Prince is grading out in the 88th percentile, and Michael Jordan is having a down year when it comes to pass protection, and they had it listed at 4.2%. I don't know if they missed a decimal. I don't think a guy can be that bad at pass protection, grading out at 4% on a scale of 100. So I think they're probably insinuating around 42% because that's similar grade to what Prince was last year. I think Prince was grading out around 44% when it comes to his pass protection. So Michael Jordan is definitely a guy that I think could be playing at a much better level when it comes to his pass protection. Now, if you want to talk about his run blocking, that's a whole different type of ball game because the guy is a road grader when it comes to run blocking, and Ohio State has shown the willingness to run behind him because he's able to open up some big holes for those backs. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, I still think Kendall Sheffield can be playing at a better level. The guy has to continue to work on his fundamentals. He has to continue to work in getting his head around finding the football, and most importantly, not giving away 15-yard penalties on such a high clip that he's at right now. He's much more talented than what he's playing. I think he has the ability to play at a high level, but it's going to come down to him mastering his technique, not committing dumb personal foul penalties or dumb pass interference penalties. So I can see him playing at a much higher rate. Hopefully they use this bye week to clean up his technique, and once that Penn State game comes around, he's ready to roll.
You know, kudos to Isaiah Prince. You mentioned that he is grading out at a very high level, especially in pass, just one of the best in the country in pass pro. I mean, I know we won't really know until they face elite defensive ends. I get that. He was terrible last year, though, so I think we have to give a lot of credit to this kid. I mean, as just a true sophomore last year, I mean, I know I was critical of him. I always added, hey, it's not his fault that he's the best option, but probably was the worst starting offensive lineman in recent memory at Ohio State. I mean, at least in the conversation.
Yeah.
And in big games especially. So, talk more about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I was hard on the kid last year, and he absolutely stunk up the joint. I can't remember a time, and it's not you know, there's not a long history of these sites such as Pro Football Focus and College Football Film Room issuing grades on players, but I can't remember a time where Ohio State offensive tackle was giving up that many pressures of Prince last year. He gave up 45 quarterback pressures last year. So far this year, he's only given up 6. Now, you're going to have the critics say, oh, look at the teams he's played. Nebraska, they dropped 3. Yes, but that doesn't matter. Last year, it's not like Ohio State was playing world beaters every single week on the schedule, and he still gave up 45 pressures. To me, it shows a vast improvement because he's whooping the tail on the guys that are in front of him, and that's what you wanted to see. He basically has jumped from a 40 percentile grading out as the worst tackle in college football last year to the 88 percentile pushing into the 90% mark. I don't know about you, Dave, but if I was getting 88s in the class in college, I was pretty happy about that with pushing the 90%, which is a low A-. Now, the true test is against Penn State. That is the game last year that really snowballed on him. During that third and fourth quarter against Penn State last year, he absolutely got destroyed. And I think you're seeing a kid who's playing with much more confidence compared to last year. And I'm looking for Isaiah Prince to go into this Penn State game with a chip on his shoulder, knowing that was the game that really exposed him and really snowball effect on him last year.
A couple of weeks ago, we talked about who's going to be the favorite in the Big Ten, or who we think is the favorite in the Big Ten at that point a couple of weeks ago. And you said you thought, Ohio State had a really good chance, but if you had to pick, you thought Penn State was the favorite to win the Big Ten. And, a lot changes quickly in college football. Penn State's looked really good, but so is Ohio State. 2 weeks later, do you feel the same way, or do you think now Ohio State's the favorite? Just who is the favorite in your estimation to win the Big Ten, Jay Book?
Yeah, when I made my prediction, it was a whole. I left the caveat out there that Ohio State has the potential, but they were coming off that Oklahoma loss, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done to vastly improve this offense and especially the passing attack. And after that time frame, this Ohio State offense has really cleaned up, and it looks like it's a revamped Ohio State offense. What we saw against Oklahoma to what we're seeing now, it's two completely different offenses. So I'm going to say Ohio State is the team to beat. And the reason I say that is not only have you seen the improvement, but you're seeing a drastic change in mentality and a drastic change in attitude. This Ohio State team, they're playing nasty, they're playing physical, and most importantly, they're playing confident. This team is going into the bye week probably playing the best football that I've seen from an Urban Meyer team since 2014 when that team was making a national championship run. Yes, the competition is not the best competition that they're going to face. However, this team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're absolutely destroying teams that they should be beating. While you see other teams around college football tripping up against teams that they shouldn't be tripping up against, or teams, higher-ranked teams in the top 10 playing down to their competition, that's not what you're seeing with Ohio State. They're absolutely coming with attitude, and I think when that Penn State game comes around, Dave, you're going to see a nasty Ohio State team that's going to be looking to take this Penn State team to the woodshed.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think you are completely on point there. Billy Price, we got a chance to chat with him a couple nights ago. I joked with him, hey, this is your first time meeting with the media this year, right? Yeah, maybe first or 100th, and he joked maybe my 1,000th in his career. He might have the most interviews of anybody, of any Ohio State player ever. Seriously, it feels like we interview Billy Price every day, but I love talking to the guy. I wonder if he let a little bit too much out. A reporter asked him, hey, is it a pretty good advantage for you guys to have the bye week and Penn State has to play Michigan? Everybody knows, yes, it is, but I was surprised how honest Billy Price was. He said, yes, it's a huge advantage for us, and he mentioned that twice. He had that quote, huge advantage, and everybody knows it is. I mean, not only is Ohio State getting the off week, but Penn State has to play a physical football game against Michigan. Then Penn State has to come here to Columbus. Ohio State has a revenge factor. Do you I've talked to some Ohio State fans about this. They're like, I like that confidence because he didn't come across real cocky. He just came across like he was locked in and confident. Do you like Billy Price just putting it out there that, hey, we have a huge advantage over Penn State, or would you rather maybe he kept that to himself?
Yeah, I love it. I love the confidence from Billy Price. I love the confidence from this football team right now. It's a team that is coming together. They're starting to get hot at the right time. What was Jim Tressel's old thing? You want your football team to be playing their best football heading into November. And that's what you're seeing from this Ohio State team. And what I'm looking forward to is these guys getting their legs back. The last couple of years, Ohio State has been screwed by the Big Ten because the major teams on the schedule all have bye weeks basically besides Michigan heading into the Ohio State game. Last year, Ohio State was in a sledgehammer game against Wisconsin at night in Camp Randall, and then the following week they had to go to Penn State at night in Happy Valley, and Penn State had a bye week before that to prepare. This year, Ohio State, the schedule falls in their favor. Penn State is going to be in a sledgehammer match against Michigan. This Michigan team, they may not win this game, but I can guarantee you that Jim Harbaugh and that Michigan team, they're going to fight until the very end. They're not going to go down, without a fight. This is a Michigan team who's backs against the wall. Some Vegas markets have them as a double-digit underdog. Jim Harbaugh is absolutely going to play that underdog roll up. So while those two teams are hammering it out, Ohio State, they're able to sit back, kick their feet up, grab a cold one if you're 21 of age, and watch this game. And I think it's going to greatly benefit this Ohio State team because we had it in our boarding house this week. These guys are being encouraged to tune into this game. They're going to be watching their rival. They're also going to be watching, guys they're going to be going up against next week. And most importantly, this game coming up between Michigan and Penn State has major Big Ten implications. So I totally 100% agree with Billy, and I 100% love his confidence and swagger right now.
I loved it too. I mean, like I said, he didn't say it cocky and disrespectful. It was just like he just said it like it was a matter of fact, and I just he was just looking at him in his eyes. It was just kind of just like the intensity, and he wasn't trying to be a jerk. He was just just telling people how he feels. And he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I love it too. Hey, before I let you go, real quick, Big Ten. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I wanted to add on to that is and a lot of people really didn't catch on to it, Dave. After the Nebraska game, Terry McLaurin, he kind of let it slip as well that the Ohio State coaches for several weeks now have been preparing for Penn State. Now that right there kind of really perked up my ears because you think about it, Urban Meyer, who's a type A guy, he's typically dialed in to the competition ahead. Ohio State as a program, they're feeling so good about where they're at and how they're playing that the coaches are preparing ahead of time, weeks in advance for Penn State. That tells me right now that this team is going to come into that Penn State game dialed in, fired up, ready to go. When your players are saying coaches have been preparing for weeks for this game. The last time you had an Urban Meyer team, this dialed in, this fired up, playing at a high level, this confidence with Alabama, and we saw what happened. And I think that's going to be the same type of situation with Penn State. I can see Saquon Barkley getting that Melvin Gordon treatment where he comes in with all the hype, Heisman hype, into the Big Ten championship with Melvin Gordon, and this defense just lays the wood to him.
Yeah, they're going to be frothing at the mouth. They're going to be like rabid dogs who haven't eaten in a whole week ready to get after Penn State, and I cannot wait. We're only 8 days away from that big game. And it's fun that we get to watch Penn State and Michigan tomorrow night. But before I let you go real quick, Big Ten Basketball Media Day was yesterday in New York City. I don't know if anybody in the world realized that, but that event actually did take place yesterday, Big Ten Media Day. Buckeyes picked to finish 11th out of 14 in the Big Ten in the preseason poll. Does that sound about right to you, Jay Book? 11th in the Big Ten? You think they're going to be better than that?
I think they can get better. I think the gist of those predictions was the amount of turnover as far as personnel with Ohio State. They're going into the season with a thin bench, not a lot of experience, a new coaching staff. So this team has a lot to prove. I'm not expecting this team to compete for the Big Ten championship, but I think they have a shot to finish higher than 11th. There will be a couple toss-up games in there that this team has a chance to win.
Great insights, as always, from my man, Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, J-Book. You can read his column every week on Bucknuts at his Outside Columbus. You can follow him on Twitter at JBook37. He's a great follow on Twitter. He's all over the front row message board. And he comes wildly popular. People have always requesting J-Book to come on the show, so we have him on every Friday. So thank you very much to J-Book, and thanks to all listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it, and hope you have a great weekend. Let's hear that Buckeye swag. Best damn band in the land.